everyone. Welcome back to Solo Chat, the gathering for marketing, tech experts, and leaders who want to help their organization get to Solo status. I'm Kate, the marketing coordinator here at Above Promotions, an award winning agency where we empower brands with cutting edge strategies and creative solutions to reach their full potential. Learn more about our successful results at abovepromotions.com. For those joining us for the first time, prepare for a dynamic discussion on the latest tools, innovations, policies, and strategies aimed at helping your brand sell out products or reach capacity with booked services. Our last episode discussed can you predict customer behavior with our CEO, Ebony Vaz, and special guest, Yasmin Gardiner. If you missed it, please visit our Spotify to replay the dynamic conversation. Today, we will be joined by Ebony Vaz, the founder and CEO of APA Promotions, one of the few marketers in the world with an engineering degree and published research focused on human behaviors and statistical data. Hi, Ebony. We're really excited about this month's episode.
Hi, Kay. I'm excited to be here and I'm excited to get started on this conversation.
All right. So, before we dive in, I want to remind everyone to stay until the end for valuable upcoming opportunities. So, be sure to listen all the way through for the details. In today's crowded digital landscape, simply existing isn't enough. So, brand needs to actively engage their audiences to stand out. So, first things first, Ebony, what are the three tools that can quadruple our brand engagement?
So, I want to kind of give a general, right? So I don't want people feeling like I'm trying to push any one particular software. So I'm going to give you some general softwares that I believe and tools that I think that will help you to increase your brand engagement. And I think they're going to help you with saving time and they're going to make your brand more polished and you're going to be able to track the effectiveness and analyze. And so, for those of you that go to the show notes, I will actually list one tool from each of these examples. How about that? So, with that said, let's talk about the part of attracting a lead. Let's talk about what your engagement with the lead, and then let's talk about once the lead has either become a customer and or like you're in that process of converting them to a customer. So we take it from those three standpoints. Let's start at the beginning. No one's going to be attracted to you unless you give them a good design, unless you give them quality output, something that they'll want to engage with. So with that said, I'm going to say a good design and editing software or tool is going to help you with that first level of brand engagement because no one wants to engage with a business that's using clip art that's from like the 90s, right? They're going to think that you don't have everything you need in order to successfully execute whatever services, that you don't have the right quality of goods that are used for today's market. So I'm going to say a good design, whether you're creating the designs, whether you need a template for the designs, whether you are editing and creating videos and you need help with those videos. We see now just how easy it is for us to be able to utilize design tools. We can take existing templates, edit them, or we can just use the templates out the box. I, of course, recommend you customizing them, putting them to your brand's colors, etc. But the ability to be able to create and edit and then be able to repurpose the content very quickly and easily with some good design and editing tools. And obviously, there are a plethora of them out there, but there's some leading ones that we all know. I want to say from that, attracting the brand for initial engagement, get a good quality design and editing software so that you can give a polished look. And we see AI is even assisting in that area. And I don't mean from AI and let's create a new photo because we're still seeing like seven finger people when we use AI photos. I'm not talking from that standpoint, but it can help you determine, hey, can I take this text? Give me some ideas on what I can create from that text. So I'll give you a tool in the show notes that you can use. So that's from just getting their attention. But now that you've got their attention, let's talk about an omni channel platform. What do I mean? Omni means multiple, right? So we need different channels to reach people. People are engaging on email, they're engaging on WhatsApp, they're engaging with their mobile devices through SMS text messaging, through apps. We're doing push on the internet. There's ways to do push notifications, and there's platforms that'll let you track and create all of those in one platform. And now you're probably thinking, why would I want to do that? Because with that one platform, you could actually set up steps. So let me give you an example. Let's say we are selling cakes and people have signed up to get more information about the cakes. They've given us their email address, they've given us their mobile number. Now, let's send out an email newsletter to that person. You can turn around and say, the people who didn't open this email, let's send them this SMS message. And for the people who did open the email, but they never purchased from that link, let's send them this SMS text message. So there's this inherent benefit of using an omnichannel platform instead of sitting there. I'll get this SMS platform. I'll get this email platform. I'll get this WhatsApp platform. Get a good omni-channel one that can record the actual movements and engagement between each of those leads. So I've said, how do you attract? I said, now you've attracted, let's keep them engaged. And now let's focus on the third part of it. The third part is they've expressed interest. You have a service, they want you to contact them and engage with them some more to sell that service. You need a CRM because you're not going to remember to do it. You're not going to remember to contact people. And so, because of that, I'm going to say a CRM is going to be the third effective tool. A lot of tools now have AI assistant writing. You know, the CRM tools can help you design your workflows. So people, you won't miss a beat. You can set up proposals to automatically go out once people hit a certain area of your entering your CRM. Let's say you've gone through that process, they didn't convert the first time. You can reheat those leads by going back to those people 6 months later and say, hey, how are things going? Because you set it up automatically. So those are the three tools. I mean, there's so many tools, but those are the three that I would say, hey, if I want to 4X my brand engagement, these are the tools, the types of tools I want to implement.
I definitely agree when you mentioned a good design or editing tool because, in today's digital world, like aesthetics is really important. So, in my personal experience, whenever I see something that's not designed very well, I am like, are they a scam? Because they're not even able to put budget into a good editing tool or something that would be able to produce them a good market item that they could use. So
Yeah.
going to our next question. Many brands use social media and content marketing, but what are the innovative ways these tools can be leveraged to truly quadruple your engagement, and especially in this saturated market?
Yeah, so let's go back and focus on that initial. You know, we've talked about the design and editing. So, for instance, we have our podcast. We can watch the full podcast, but we also have these clips where we can provide clips to people on social media. And so that's what I'm talking. If you get a good creative and design software that you can use to edit and help you prolong the life of the materials that you're creating, help revive the materials that you're creating. I mean, I can't tell you, the amount of times that we have taken a photo and then flipped the script on it and use it for something else several months later and it looks brand new. People probably don't even remember they saw that same photo a few months ago. So I think a good editing and creative design tool is going to allow you to be able to do that. It's going to allow you to be able to go in and edit so that you can get to all the different formats. God knows, I don't know why Instagram keeps changing their format layouts, but here we are again. So, what are you going to do, right? You go back to that easy, good design tool you have and you quickly resize for the new one. Yeah, that's not something that back in the day when it was strictly Adobe that you were using, it would be difficult for you to go in and resize and then have to fix because everything stretched and looked weird because you just went in and changed the size. So for social media and content marketing, I'm going to stick with that first tool, that creative and design editing tool. That's going to be the way that you can just be innovative, be smart about the fact that you can repurpose your content. And I think that having a good creative and design tool will allow you to do that. Now, if I were able to squeeze in maybe like a fourth tool, like a tool 3.5 or something, to our list of three tools, yeah, obviously having a good scheduler is helpful. I mean, like the one that we use, it allows us to take a post that we've already shared in the past and then reschedule it for another date and time. And so that's a good way to save money. And that same tool, we can listen. We don't have to even log in to those social media platforms. We can listen to the comments directly into the inbox of that tool. So it's really a good way to just, you need to be innovative. You need to think like, what is a time saving tool that I can implement? But you also don't want to get like a tool that has too many bells and whistles that you might not even get to all of it. And, there is a really large platform that's a CRM that is pretty expensive and it comes with a lot of bells and whistles. And I meet a lot of business owners that tell me they've purchased it and they use like 10% of the software. That's not a good choice. So you really do want to think through some of the things that you need and being able to leverage and re-leverage great content that you've created. I think that's the best way to help you while you're trying to stand out in the markets.
Exactly, exactly. A lot of brands, even bigger brands, are doing this repurposing, like doing different things with what they already have, especially with those materials that have gained a lot of traction. And eventually it will also gain a lot of traction again. So it's definitely a good idea to do repurposing with what you already have. So,
Yeah, I think a good example, and before we move on, for those who are in the US and you do watch like the Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl had, they brought back one, I think it was Budweiser, brought back is the Clydesdales, the horses. And that is an iconic part of their history of marketing from years ago. And so they brought that back and that just rehashed everything. There's certain campaigns that run during that time that some of these brands they just build off on and it makes people think back to the last time that they saw it. So definitely from that standpoint of don't think that big brands aren't doing it because big brands are doing it.
definitely. So, how can these three tools that you mentioned be effectively integrated to create a cohesive and impactful engagement strategy rather than just operating in silos?
So, that depends on the softwares that you do choose from my original three lists. Because I talked about the design, I talked about that omni-channel platform, and then I talked about the CRM. So, let's focus on the first two. There are some omni-channel platforms that have an API that you can use to the creative design software. So that when I say API, it is a interface that allows two different softwares that were created by two different companies to talk to one another. So there are some software that will allow you to do that. They will take your creative and it will feed into another software so you can distribute. Because the omnichannel platform is merely a distribution center. It's going to distribute the content you have to all the different channels. And so as we take a look at like the different softwares that exist, yes, we're going to see that you can go ahead and select a software that might have an API. The other thing is we're seeing is this rise in no code ability to be able to connect software together when two companies don't have an existing API, but they've allowed a third party to go in and connect the software together. Now, how detailed you need to do that, I don't know. But I will tell you, one of the most popular design creative software, one that we use, it will allow you to schedule something that you've created exactly from that platform. So that's a way where you can kind of look at it from not being in a silo and working together. So there's different ways that technically it can happen, but you always want to do what makes sense because how are you organizing that repository of design within that software? and outside of that software. And that's going to make a big difference as well.
I agree. I agree. You definitely do not want to have these tools like be wasted. So as much as possible, make sure that everything that you need is in there. So how do you define and measure 4 times brand engagement in a meaningful way? And what metrics are most crucial for demonstrating the ROI of these tools?
So that is a great question. Oftentimes, people end up purchasing software, never use it. So that's a good indication that you are not going to get an ROI. I think that sometimes people purchase software without the collaborative thought process because there are times where we're constantly testing out tools for our clients. And I will even say to you, hey, like, hey, this looks cool. Check this out. What do you think? And you're like, oh well, this software does what the software we already have does. I'll look at it and see, no, this one, the one we're using is the better of the choice. So I think that you have to it's very easy to test out a bunch of things and then end up with a bunch of similar software. And you don't want to do that. You always kind of want to have a good working list of all the software you have and then ensure that you have an understanding of the capabilities it can do. And then when you see something new and shiny, because there are over 100,000 marketing tech tools that exist. So just because something new and shiny is out doesn't mean that it doesn't already exist someplace else. So then it's like, how can I ensure what our current workflow is? And that software can work with the current workflow. And then does this software help us to improve the workflow? Because I'm always saying, I'm like, hey, Kay, if this is going to save you time, and then we're going to be able to get this out quicker, let's do it. But I need you to check it out because I can say it's going to work wild from a CEO standpoint. But if I'm talking to the person in the team who actually has to do it and then has to work with the people below them to actually get it done, I need the trust that Kay knows what she's doing and that she's going to know what's going to help speed up the workforce. So I think that's going to be the beginning step of just saying, like, what's our ROI? Is ensuring that you're looking at the current workflow, looking at how that workflow can give you time back and produce more quality results. Those are the two things that I'm looking for impact with ever software I have. And so if I can't get impact from that, that's going to be a problem. I'm not going to want to do it. Now, the metrics I'm looking at, did my website visits increase? Did this particular post and content that were created, did it increase the engagement? So we see now, just everyone sees now, there's more engagement that comes from a 2D image versus a video that's being put online. And so if I look at my statistics and my analytics, either from my social media scheduling platform that has analytics or directly on the social media sites, I can turn around and say, hey, every time we did a video at the beach, it gave us twice as many results than if we did a video standing against a white wall trying to get people results. So that's the type of things you're going to want to like look and play at. You're going to want to say, what are the web traffic? What are the number of engagements that went up? But web traffic engagements aren't enough. You need them to convert, right? So that's the other thing is my conversion rate increasing? So this is why it's good that once a lead gets to a certain place, especially with a B2B business, you want to have that CRM because now you can measure what stage of the sales process are you losing people at. And if you're losing people at the very end, then you need to determine how to better qualify the person at the beginning and or take a look at what's happening in that last ending process. So I think that you have to take and look at these tools and determine like what I can 4x by XYZ. And I'll tell you, when you go back to the creative and the design part and that software, a lot of times the most popular softwares that people are using, they tend to put the templates up from the designers who have the most engagements and likes, who've had the most highest reviews. So I think there's a bit of trend analysis with that comes with using those types of software too.
I actually agree as well with what you mentioned earlier about letting the team test it out. because they'll be the one to use it anyway, and it really helps with the efficiency. Like, you'll get another set of eyes with, will this work for the company? So it's really good. It's one thing to keep in mind. So in an age of automation, how can brands maintain authenticity and genuine connection while utilizing these tools to scale their engagement efforts?
So every brand should have a voice. And I truly believe that just because you're automating does not mean you skip over that voice. And so if you start to automate, and I'm trying to think of the best way to say it, but I'll just say it. So a lot of times people are using AI to create content, and it's improving. It's improving. However, a lot of times those chat agents, those prompts aren't coming back with the exact voice that you have. It doesn't know that you made this joke 2 months ago and this joke went over big with your audience. So there's this voice that you have to be able to tap into and put that into text and put it into images. And I believe that in this age of automation, you don't want to lose that. So I think if you keep your voice through and through ahead of the time, you're going to make that happen. So our voice as an agency that deals a lot with technology, whether we're implementing it for people or we're helping customers that have that type of background, that innovative background, we're never talking to people like, hey, we're not using technical terms because that's just not our voice. We don't want people to feel not smart. I don't want to say dumb, but we don't want people to feel like they're not smart enough to have a conversation with us because that's going to turn people off. So our voice is to say, we believe, like we can help you with your storytelling. And it doesn't matter the story that you're trying to tell, we're going to help give you the words to do it. And so I think that that is our voice. And that's something that we ensure that no matter what medium it's coming out on, it's being able to maintain. And so I think that's the difference because there's sometimes you can ask a GPT to write something for you and it will come back with trendy short language, but that's not your brand. So why would you implement it? And I think that's a good obvious sign that that's not who that brand is. So you want to just keep your brand voice no matter what tool you're using.
Exactly. That's actually one thing that we always keep mentioning in every episode that we have, that each brand should still be authentic. They should still be genuine. That there should be still like personalization with how they interact with their audience or their customers. So, considering the rapid evolution of digital platforms and consumer behavior, how can brands adapt and evolve their engagement strategies to remain relevant and effective in the long term?
Yeah. So I think technology is always going to change. And I have this conversation from time to time, and I kind of bring this up on different podcasts when I get invited to be on others' podcasts. Um, the the basic principles of marketing has not changed. The tools we used have. And I think that if we keep that in mind, I think this is going to help us to ascertain like the strategies we should use. So even though you could have a GPT assist you with creating content, that doesn't mean that you need that GPT to give you content at every single point of your creation of content. You might only need a GPT to help you when you're doing extreme long format content, right? Let's say you create a mini book. You might need a GPT to help you, give you a guide in that way, give you a summary or of the content that you created. But I think that technology doesn't have to be implemented at every single part of the process. There's this thinking that still has to take place that we have to do as professionals, as business owners, as leaders for our organization. And so those are things that we're not going to be able to take out of the process. And we can't be completely distracted by the new and shiny tool. Every company right now loves AI, but every company knows that they can't use it completely. They can't have AI completely on their financial items. They can't have AI completely in their HR. And so it takes a good leader to take a look at what needs to be done, what's on the roadmap. Implementing AI may be good in one area, but you might be rock star in every other area. And you taking and trying to implement some new tool in an area where you're already a rock star actually might have some consequences. So I think it's just a matter of sticking to the basic principles and then finding the best tools to help you execute.
I definitely agree with that one. So, we learned a lot from this session today. Thank you so much, Ebony, for sharing great insights with us. So, wrapping up this discussion, we learned how to truly quadruple brand engagement, moving beyond basic digital strategies. So, first, innovation is key. We must look beyond standard practices and find unique ways to leverage existing tools, especially in the crowded markets. Second, a cohesive strategy is vital. Integrating these tools rather than using them in silos create a synergistic effect amplifying the results. Third, we must define and measure engagement ROI meaningfully. This involves tracking key metrics that demonstrate the tangible impact of your efforts. Fourth, authenticity is paramount. So while automation helps scale, we must maintain a genuine connection with our audience. And finally, we must proactively adapt our strategies to stay ahead of the curve. So the digital landscape is constantly evolving, so our engagement methods must evolve with it too. So by focusing on innovation, integration, ROI measurement, authenticity, and adaptability, brands can achieve significant and sustainable engagement growth. So check out our website for free resources on innovation. Follow us on LinkedIn for more valuable insights. So if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, you missed a couple of these upcoming opportunities or events. Join us for the next session of The Work Continues Inclusion Without Diversity on April 15th. Dive deep into building truly inclusive workplaces beyond surface level diversity. Secure your spot now and learn actionable strategies at abovpromotions.com/events. Until then, keep innovating and achieving new heights.